Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, there are growing calls for mandatory vaccinations for workers in childcare, with Tasmania now the only state in Australia yet to mandate the sector. Public Health says it's considering the move and will make a decision next week.
COVID vaccinations now mandatory in healthcare and aged care, but one key sector yet to be covered is childcare.
We've been writing to government asking them to put a mandatory vaccination order in place.
Tasmania now the only state where a mandate hasn't been enforced. Kids under the age of 12 still unable to receive the jab.
They're not eligible for a vaccine, so we need to do everything we can to protect them.
Public Health says it will make a call on mandates for childcare workers as well as those in the public sector next week.
And I think it's very important when someone identifies a need for any workplace health and safety measure that they reflect upon their own responsibility to address it.
And while the new variant,
the Omicron variant,
might take some getting used to, authorities in Tasmania are watching it closely.
We need to understand about its transmissibility. We need to understand about the illness that it causes.
Still confident it won't impact our border reopening plan, saying if people continue to show up for appointments,
we will have a vaccination rate, full vaccination rate of 91%.
by December 15.
Over the last few days, we have seen a bit of the Omicron effect on vaccination, with a tick up on our first and second doses.
And from next Monday, you'll only be able to dance and drink standing up in pubs and clubs if you're double dosed.
If you're one of those people that is a couple of weeks late, some people are a couple of months late on their second jab, turn up and get it because the world changes next week.
Also confirming 11 passengers who shared a flight with a woman who tested positive to COVID overnight have now been asked to isolate. The woman in her 40s is currently quarantining at the Fountainside Hotel. Next Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania is ramping up its bid to see some of the world's best cricketers converge on Hobart for the 5th Ashes Test. Peter Gutwin has spoken with Cricket Australia today after taking the state's case to the Players Association.
Vying for the prestigious Ashes urn, the stakes are always high. Gone! Tasmania is once again in the spotlight to host the 5th Test, and cricket fans are welcoming every opportunity to watch from Brunton Arena.
I'm British, so yes, and it would be really cool to see England playing here against an Australian side, which is not something I've ever seen, so yeah, that'd be really cool.
I'd be very pleased about that, although I think our chances are slim because Victoria's in for it as well.
The renewed push comes as Perth's chances dwindle, imposing quarantine requirements for players.
Western Australia, you'll be looking at 14 days in quarantine. And so, importantly, the game can go on with very few restrictions here in Tasmania.
Peter Gutwin's taking his plea a step further, writing directly to the Australian Cricketers Association.
To ask them to provide information to both the Australian players and to the English players so that they understand fully what the opportunity would be here in Tasmania.
The letter entailed confirmation there will be no special isolation requirements for players entering Tasmania. And the Premier's confident the most recent tensions between Cricket Tasmania and the national body can be swept under the rug.
At the end of the day, why would you bother giving 2 tests to either Sydney or Melbourne when Hobart stands ready, willing and able to put on a great show?
A view echoed by the state's Chamber of Commerce, who say an economic boost has never been more important.
It's the time for Cricket Australia to give something back to Tasmania. You know, we deserve this test in our state. We've gone for a long time without proper international cricket in Tasmania.
Cricket Tasmania's chairman believes Bellerive Oval is ready and in perfect condition to host the match, and tens of thousands of spectators come January next year. The extended cricket fraternity has also come forward to rally behind the idea.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously, what's happening at the moment. But yeah, it would be, well, personally, on a selfish note, I'd love that to happen in Hobart, no doubt about it.
Cricket Australia, however, remain tight-lipped on when the venue will be confirmed. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Housing experts are warning the rental market will face further pressure when Tasmania's border reopens to the rest of the country. The Tenants' Union is alarmed by a recent spike in Airbnb applications, and it's calling on the state government to step in.
In just 2 weeks' time, Tasmania will open to the rest of the world, but experts say that could shut some people out of the rental market.
We're really quite concerned in January, Feb, that there may be people that are currently in a rental property that may not be able to afford the increases that are coming.
The Tenants' Union has noticed a recent spike in change of use applications to Launceston and Hobart councils.
So we know that that's 20 properties that did house long-term tenants that are being turned into short-term accommodation.
The latest data from Communities Tasmania shows vacancy rates are at some of their lowest, and with rental costs jumping 50% in areas like Glenorchy in the past 5 years, the Tenants' Union is warning more Tasmanians will be locked out come December 15.
Rents are going through the roof. There aren't any affordable rental properties for people to move into, and the question they're asking is where are they going to move if they do get kicked out of their home?
In 2019, the state government introduced the Short Stay Accommodation Act to help councils enforce planning rules, but it says banning or limiting short stay accommodation won't have any impact on housing affordability in the rental market.
There is a significant lack of supply, and we urgently need more supply. We need the state government, we need all the levers to be pulled so that properties are made available to tenants.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
The boss of an embattled aged care provider is threatening legal action against the Health and Community Services Union, claiming its officials have defamed her. Southern Cross Care CEO Robin Boyd's explosive move comes after employees supported a no-confidence vote in her.
An unprecedented move from a union and its fed-up members. Health and Community Services Union members today taking a vote of no confidence in Southern Cross Care Tasmania CEO Robin Boyd.
There are staff cuts going on at the moment, and there are major concerns about the care that our members provide to their residents in that context.
The calls prompting an extraordinary response. SCC writing in a statement this morning that Ms Boyd will be taking legal action against HACSU Tasmania, including its officials, for their unwarranted, sexist and defamatory attack.
Often is allegations made against me personally and allegations of misconduct. But no evidence of that.
Well, we would reject all of those statements out of hand, and on that basis we are seeking our own legal advice.
Despite the no confidence vote, Ms Boyd says she doesn't plan to step down and has the full backing of the board.
Robin is doing the things that the board want to make sure that Southern Cross Care remains the relevant aged care facility service that it has been all the time.
Boyd was appointed CEO in early 2020. Her tenure's been marred by frequent battles with the union. Last month, SCC announced they'd discovered widespread underpayment. Despite finding out nearly 2 years earlier, there's still no firm timeline for repayment. The union also claimed the provider had planned to cut working hours in kitchens and cut paid meal breaks. HACSU and Southern Cross Care are currently engaged in heated bargaining negotiations. Today's tit for tat comes with employees set to vote on a proposed agreement this Friday. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are dangling a $50,000 carrot for any information leading to the arrest of fugitive Kerry Whiting. The reward being offered within a week of the 44-year-old's disappearance comes amid suspicion people are harbouring the suspect. Mr Whiting is wanted following a double stabbing in Ravenswood, which killed a man and left a woman in a critical condition.
The information from the public has been quite limited thus far, and therefore we believe that there's a good chance that someone may be assisting him.
Extensive searches have taken place around Waverley in recent days, but police haven't revealed where other inquiries have taken place. Information can be passed on anonymously to Crime Stoppers. As the pre-Christmas shopping frenzy begins, Launceston City Prom and Crime Stoppers have teamed up to tackle antisocial behaviour. They're asking shoppers to keep an eye out for employee abuse and theft in local businesses, saying it's a problem that only gets worse this time of year.
It is a very stressful time for people leading up to Christmas, and so with the increased activity and the increased stress, with that comes an increase in antisocial behaviour.
There's a shortage of retail staff, so to be able to actually keep an eye on things and keep it all safe and happy, they are going to need the public's help this year.
To report antisocial behaviour, shoppers can contact Crime Stoppers via phone or online. A Launceston resident known for his extravagant Christmas lights is locked in a bitter stoush with the local council over this year's display. Max Jago's request to close a busy nearby road has so far been rejected, leaving the future of the lights display up in the air.
With LED screens and thousands of lights all synced to music, these aren't your everyday Christmas lights. But this year, Max Jago may be forced to pull the plug on his expensive excuse for festive fun.
It's a bit of a kick in the guts, really. You try and do the right thing.
After his COVID-safe event plan was ticked off by Public Health, the Launceston Council knocked back his request to close the road outside his house.
Which means we can't comply with that COVID plan.
We're saying that there are other alternatives and we've tried to work with him on that.
He fears passing traffic will pose a safety threat. Monitoring crowds via the check-in app will be difficult.
You can't social distance thousands of people in a couple of 100 square metres of nature strip.
And it could leave him exposed to a huge fine for breach of COVID plans. The council says closing Allenvale Road is not only difficult, it's extremely inconvenient to surrounding residents, and to do so would set a dangerous precedent.
Residents, the police and others in the area don't want the road closed. It is a busy night, the Friday night, right before Christmas.
An online petition has triggered more than 3,000 signatures to keep the show alive.
It's good for the community and everyone likes it, you know.
Kids come down and they absolutely enjoy it.
Its creator is optimistic it will go ahead, hoping for a Christmas change of heart. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
The popular Derwent River ferry service will run extra services on Saturdays over summer. Hobart City Council will subsidise the extra sailings from December 18 to accommodate an expected boost in tourism.
It's already exceeded expectations. We're very supportive of the state government's subsidy of the commuter service, and we think it's a really fabulous service, and the people of Hobart have really voted with their feet.
The state government is trialling the weekday service until mid-next year. Residents across Greater Hobart will be placed under water restrictions from December 14 to help the city maintain supply over the summer holidays. The changes aim to reduce non-essential water use by 20%. The suburbs impacted span across a large area from Glenorchy to Brighton and New Norfolk. It comes after heavy rain over recent months has impacted water quality, forcing restrictions to come into effect.
Ian Bell plans to take his fellow Englishman under his wing this Big Bash season. The new Hurricanes assistant coach will work closely with imports Jordan Thompson and Harry Brook and will be free from quarantine in time for Game 1. Ian Bell knows what it takes to win out on the ground.
With a fantastic debut knock by the England international.
His next trick will be from the sidelines.
A good challenge to really get stuck into.
13,000 plus international runs and 118 tests for England. Bell's resume is extensive, but his coaching career is still in its embryonic stage. One aspect putting him in rare company is the British blood between him and the 2 Hurricanes imports.
I know what that feels like to be an overseas player, and you need to start well. So if I can help in that department, that will be amazing.
Bell won't miss a moment of the Big Bash. News he'll drop his quarantine shackles in time for the Canes opener came during today's press conference.
You've been cleared to attend the first match.
Right.
On the Aussie side, he's already close to Matthew Wade. They've played together for county side Warwickshire. As for the Ashes, Bell says Australia's fully fit batting lineup is imposing.
So England are going to have to score big runs. Joe Root for the last 12 months has been absolutely incredible, really single-handedly keeping the batting lineup together, certainly when Ben Stokes was out for a period of time.
There will be no conflicting allegiance, at least for the Big Bash. High-profile horse trainer Scott Brunton is fighting a suspension for having a horse with too much arsenic in its system. Brunton is appealing the 3-month ban handed down by racing stewards, but is free to continue training in the meantime. Arsenic in small doses can potentially improve a horse's appetite. Wynyard will crown the winner of the Australian Off-Road Championship next year. The pandemic denied Tasmania the same opportunity in 2020. Despite producing champion talent like Somerset's Kyron Bacon, the state has never hosted the competition's final rounds in its 15-year history. Wynyard will step up to the plate in October.
Good evening. Well, the first day of summer certainly didn't disappoint with warm to hot conditions. 31 degrees in Hobart today with the state's top. Launceston 28, 22 in Burnie, Devonport reaching at 21. Grove and Bushy Park 29 today, Flinders Island 27, Strahan and Scottsdale 26, Lyoweeney 23, Lowhead 20. Bands of cloud travelling west to east across the state today. Further out, an extensive middle to upper level cloud over eastern parts, low cloud along the coast of Victoria and South Australia. A trough will sit over Tasmania tomorrow with a cold front approaching from the west. On the water, variable winds at 5 to 15 knots, increasing to 25 knots later, swells below a metre in the north and east. And a strong wind warning from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point. A humid day for Hobart with showers developing, 26 tomorrow. Cygnet 25, 28 in New Norfolk. Launceston humid with a shower on the way, 28, 22 in Devonport. Campbelltown early fog and 28. Burnie and Strahan both 21 tomorrow. Smithton fine and 22. A humid day for St Helens, 25, 27 at Swansea. Fingal 29 degrees. The UV reaching 10 tomorrow, which is very high. Turning to Friday now, and a mainly fine day for the northwest and central north, showers elsewhere. On to Saturday, showers for the west, south and central areas, and Sunday fine conditions with some light winds and just some afternoon sea breezes. Melbourne tomorrow 31, 26 in Sydney, Brisbane a shower and 29, Darwin a shower and 35, sunny in Perth 29, Adelaide partly cloudy and 24. 19 in Hobart right now, Launceston still warm and 26, Devonport 21. Kim, enjoy the warmth tomorrow. Cool changes on the way.
Okay, it's like living in the tropics. Thanks very much, Laura. That is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. As always, thanks for your company. Good night.